What's up, guys? We just got a big new patch on Parallel. So before the card changes, they did make a little change to tournaments, where now you can sign up for 10 minutes prior to a tournament start instead of 5 minutes, which will hopefully help people sign up for these tournaments. I mean, I always say I'm going to sign up for the tournaments, and then I never make it in time because I'm always stuck in a game, and I miss the sign up. So this will be pretty nice, just a little more time, because these tournaments have not been filling up too much at all, even though there should be a decent amount of people online. Getting into the changes though, we have Ingrid and Freitas both being changed. And before we get into that change real quick, I just want to note that they said in these notes right here that when we looked at the data, players who cast either of these cards would win the game 80+% of the time. And that is a ton of, yeah, that is way too much, and I'm glad that they have finally dealt with this, it seems. I think these changes are pretty good. So what they did was they made both of these cards, their abilities only, you get to choose abilities equal to how many universal cards you have on the field. And I believe that the way that muster abilities work is they activate before the card is actually on the field, so I do not believe that they count themselves in this. So whatever universal cards you have on the field before you play this, whatever amount of cards you have, that's the amount of abilities that you get to choose out of their 4 abilities each that they have. Actually, Freitas has 5. So yeah, that's a really big change. Instead of just getting 4 or 5 abilities, you actually have to have some kind of condition to get a certain amount of abilities, and it forces you to choose. Like if you only have 2 or 3 on the board, or even 1, it forces you to choose and plan more carefully which abilities you're gonna go for and what targets you're gonna choose. So yeah, I really like this a lot, because it did feel like pretty much whenever your opponent dropped Ingrid on the board, it's just GG. More than Freitas, but Freitas is still very strong, and yeah, this needed to change, and this is a really good change in my opinion. Another insane card just got changed. Astel's Glaive finally got changed to only deal the adjacent damage when it's on your turn. When it deals combat damage on your turn, which is a huge deal, so now you don't have to be really, like, I don't know, it always feels like you never want to trade into this card because you're gonna lose your whole entire board if you do. Like, this card has just been too good, and it has shielded on top of that. Like, this card has been insane, so I really like that now your opponent can actually just trade into it on their turn. And yeah, it's not always like the best play anymore, but it's still a pretty decent statted minion. And if they don't, it basically has like a defender on it, because if your opponent doesn't trade into it, then you're going to unleash some big damage onto their board. Another card that's been heavily played, Miasmancer, or Miasmancer, however you want to pronounce it, becoming a 3/1. The card is usually pretty good to play. You don't really feel too bad about playing it. Even when you don't really get the upside of it by messing with your opponent, it's still like fine just because of the stats. So I like making this kind of situational card actually situational. So this is something that you actually have to only play when you really think your opponent's going to play some muster abilities, or if you want to protect your board from certain abilities. It's been played in basically every single deck, and yeah, it's just more of a tech card that you're not going to run in every single deck now, which is what we want. We don't want auto include cards that you're going to slot into every single build that you make. And the last change is Catherine's Rallying Cry, one of the best cards in the game. Again, they really hit the really good, they chose really good targets to hit in this patch. And the new ability for this card is to play 2 random units that cost 2 or less from your deck instead of 3 or less. So instead of potentially getting 6 energy worth of cards for 3, now the highest you could get is 4, which, I mean, you would think on average you're gonna get 3 because you're gonna get a 1 and a 2. So is this card even that great anymore? I don't know. It's a decent card, I think, because you still could get a high roll, and there's cards that interact with spells like the artillery volley and the bannerman, but I don't know. I think this card that's a big hit for the card, You also want to keep in mind that all these changes that they're making are coming kind of right before the new set comes out. The new set will drop, I believe, early November-ish. So they don't want to do something that's going to really interfere too much with the new cards that are going to enter the game. But they did really hit the best cards that they could hit. And then they just fixed some miscellaneous bugs that would freeze the game or soft lock the game, which was very necessary as well, especially with recent tournaments actually like banning you from playing these cards because of these soft locks, or just strictly saying if you play this card and it locks up the game, then you just lose, which is pretty dumb. So yeah, very happy to see these cards get changes. Memento specifically and Ruined Tinkerer were actually, along with Cendrillon. I don't see Cendrillon on here. But these were the cards that were mainly freezing the game, I think. But yeah, overall, in my opinion, I think everybody's in agreement that since Catherine took these big hits, this big hit right here, and Universal Augencore is taking this big hit as well, that the best deck, or the best Paragon, will likely be Shroud. Which Paragon out of the Shroud? I think all three Shroud Paragons are pretty good. I would think New Dawn, just like the greedier the better at the moment, since there's not really such an aggressive deck that is that great anymore. I feel like maybe Catherine is still fine, but you play the spell heavy version. It's just not being able to get the logistics. Cruiser off of the 3-cost spell here is such a big hit to the deck that I feel like it probably hits it enough. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the spell heavy version being played, but then Shroud will probably just tech against it with some more collateral damages, or maybe like an EMP kind of thing. So yeah, I think Shroud is probably the big winner of this patch moving forward into the new set. But yeah, let me know down below what you think of these changes. I think they were stellar. I think this is what should have happened to these cards previously, but really happy to see it. Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next one. It's your boy. Peace.